All right, good morning. It's Mark coming to you from Baker's Green Acres. Today's the 5th of May, 2018, and 9 o'clock in the morning, or 8:30. And here it is, like a perfect day. I mean, the only thing that would make this better is if I had a fall staff in my hand. 8:30 in the morning. But it is a perfect day, and here's what I'm working on today. This is the Cadillac of pig pastures here. This is an old hay field, and last week we were working on that shelter right there. It's an oil tank that's cut and then split and then set up on railroad ties, staked down real good so it won't shift around, because it's real heavy, and if it starts to move around it'll look cockeyed. It won't look good. And one of the things that I am gonna start to stress a little bit in this homesteading model versus the commercial farming model is form over function. A lot of times commercial farming, well, for example, by now we would have probably 1,000 chicks going. So you're scrambling to get things underway. You know, you're scrambling to keep up with feed and keep up with bedding and all those things. So you're at it in the morning, and then you go to bed at night thinking, I got to get at it again tomorrow morning, because you have to help those chicks make it to the point where you can get them sold, because it's piecework. And you know, I did it for a lot of years, but I'm not doing it now. I have 150 chicks going right now. They're more like pets. You can go out there and sit and take your time and enjoy them, rather than, you know, just treating them like a widget. All right, so the subject of this video is going to be form over function. We can take the time to make things more aesthetically pleasing, right? And by the same token, those things will be built better, and they will require less maintenance to keep up. So that's, you know, I've had, you know, 500 pigs here, and a lot of times things weren't 100%, but the pigs were here, they were getting fed, and then they were going out the door. Now I'm gonna have a whole lot less pigs here. I sold some sows this week and turned that into a rotor tiller for the back of my my little tractor. And so that's what you're looking at here, this field. I mean, I have worked on this field a lot. It was just a sand field. And the proximity of this field to my composting area is right here. So you may notice that that compost pile is a lot lower than it was, because I put half of it out here. And then I was able to run it over with the rototiller and get it all turned in. We had a couple days of rain, and now this is just a beautiful carpet of rich soil. The pigs have been off here for, I don't know, maybe 2. Little was the last one that came off, and you can't see even one manure chunk out here. It's all been taken down. So form over function. This pen is going to be the type of pen where you can have several sows in it and a boar. I'm going to put a system in, I'll show you how to do this, where we can easily separate animals from one another and separate them for loading in a trailer. So the one loader that we'll build here will function as a weaner catcher. You know, because when you have little pigs and you got to gather them up for selling or castrating or whatever like that, if you're a 50-year-old guy out here running around after little pigs, it's like playing football. They're hard to catch. But if we have a system where when they go in to eat, they can't go out, they can't get out, and they're in a small enclosure, we can catch them easy. And you know, it's just going to be built and it will work. And then we'll have a boar pen within here so we can separate him out. So when we want to control breeding to maybe one time a year, we can do that. Or if we just want to farrow in the calmer months, you know, like early spring and then late fall. And we don't want to do any of this midsummer or midwinter. You know, midwinter's okay with these pigs, but it's definitely not your best bet because it's cold and little pigs come out of their moms wet and sometimes they turn to pigsicles. So this is going to be functional, but the form of it is going to be a beautiful thing. We're going to have a water system. I have the parts for it that is just going to be on all the time. The pigs will always be able to get something to drink. We're going to have a little area where it's wet, where they can get in and wallow around a little bit, so they'll be happy. And this little area, 150 by 150, will generate for us, you know, if we had 2 sows in here, I think my math was off on one of my videos. I said 38, it should have been 36. But if we had 2 sows in here, they'll generate right around 24 pigs a year. So that's a lot. And our input to it will be minimal, really. And then these little pigs, when they're sold, they're worth, you know, 150, 175 bucks. So it's a nice little system. I mean, it's not gonna keep the wolves away from the door totally, but it's a nice little facet to have on your homesteading operation that will provide you with all the high quality pork that you want. Let's see, where am I at time? Okay, so today what I'm going to do is I'm going to work on the fertility of this ground. I mean, I put a lot of compost in here, but now I want to go through and get the biochar into it. And so I've got a pile. I'm going to spread that out. And I may come through with the rototiller again, and that'll smooth everything out. And then one of my only stops that I have to make off the farm today is to get a little bit of diesel fuel and then some seed. So by the end of the day, this will be seeded, and then we can work around that. But it's warm out, going to be 70 today, so any seeds that we get in could germinate in a couple of days. So we'd have a nice cover. We want our seeds to be the ones that germinate first, rather than the weed seeds, the ones that are just here, and get a nice cover of something. Now, let's say I have to turn the pigs in on here in a month, which that's my target date. I will have a nice growth on here in a month, really nice. And then on this 150 by 150, I can subdivide this with a temporary fence. And I think maybe that's what we'll talk about in the next video, is how to subdivide it. It'd be better if I showed you now, before this growth on here, how to subdivide that, and you know, some of the nuances of that thing. Okay, this is Mark from Baker's Green Acres. Remember, anyone can farm.